Last night with on Blaze TV, we're giving you a 25% discount if you would like to join us and become family. Just use the promo code Glenn25. 25% discount. I think that's the biggest discount we've offered. You can just go to blazetv.com and use the promo code Glenn25 and watch last night's special on what's coming. I'm going to go over it here in just a second. Also, tonight, my interview with Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who is remarkable. I'm going to talk to her about life in America.
This is the Glenn Beck program.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who is remarkable. I'm going to talk to her about life in America.
This is the Glenn Beck program.
Hour of the show.
I was just showing Stu a very, very important chart. The hot crazy metrics. It's important. If you're a guy, it's very important, and you can find it online.
It seems to be based in science,
right?
A lot of science.
A lot of science. Mm-hmm. It is.
It does.
Now, women may not agree with it, but
they're going to deny science.
Well,
is that's what they're doing?
Yes, a lot of them are science deniers.
That's apparently what we have now. That's sad.
What is it?
The hot crazy matrix. A man's guide to women is the
and it is
900,000 views.
Every single. My wife actually watched it and laughed really hard and said, "Yeah, that's pretty true. That's pretty true." And he's got another matrix at the end for women. So women can, the guy, it's not a hot crazy, it's a hot wealth
it is
matrix.
A cute money matrix is what it appears to be.
It works a little differently than the chart for guys and women, but you can find that online. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming and how to prepare. Also, we've got an amazing story of a new Blaze show that's already been banned. America, and welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Last night I did a chalkboard special, and I laid out the things that your life is going to be like, what we should expect for the American lifestyle in a relatively short period of time. And then I showed you why that was happening and how that was happening. I ran out of time to give you some of the things you need to do to prepare. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on that this hour. We begin in 60 seconds. So last night on the TV show, I did a 3 chalkboard show, and it was first describing what America is going to be like when this all comes down. And it's coming down faster than you think, and you already are feeling it. You remember when they said, just going to have to get used to the new normal? And we were like, I don't want the new normal. What are you talking about, new normal? I don't want the new normal. I want normal. But they have promised us normal with the president, right? Donald Trump, throw him out and things will go back to normal. Is this normal? Is this the way our president is supposed to behave? Are these decisions that he's making normal? No, of course, no, it's not. So then why are we listening to them when they tell us they're going to bring normalcy back? They're not going to bring normalcy back. They're bringing something very, very different. They are recreating and transforming America into something that you will not recognize at all, even from today. And it's going to start happening faster and faster. And I laid out a chalkboard last night that shows that we're headed for massive shortages. And you need to prepare for this. Massive shortages in energy, in food, in the things that you already are feeling. You're going to a store and you want to just pick something up, and they're saying, we're all out of that. We don't have that. It'll be, I don't know, maybe a couple of months before we get that in. Are you kidding me? This is preparing you for a much lower standard of living. And I don't know how low it could go. It could go to Venezuela. And don't laugh that off. We have been on this course now for almost 20 years. I'm telling you that we could be Venezuela in the next 5 to 10. That is not unreasonable. I think we could be Venezuela, quite honestly, in the next 4. So prepare yourself for a much lower living standard. Prepare yourself for shortages of energy, beef, fruits and vegetables. Prepare yourself for blackouts and brownouts. Prepare yourself for your savings devalued by about, let's say 40%. I'm being kind. Zero privacy on your money. Zero privacy. Your banks will become a big brother. You're going to have to get used to collective rules. This is good for the collective, but it's horrible for me and my community. Doesn't matter. Prepare for that. Prepare for schools to be only teaching your kids to be activists or to work for a giant corporation. Those are the things that you have to prepare for. And by 2030, prepare for no ownership and no one to blame, no one to vote out. Have you noticed, let's start there, nobody takes blame for anything anymore? On Afghanistan, who's really responsible? I mean, Joe Biden says the buck stops with him, but does it? Is there any ramification? The buck stops with me means I'm responsible. I'm not only going to take the blame, but I will take the repercussions of that. There's only one repercussion for Joe Biden right now, and that is his poll numbers are abysmal. He is now less popular than Kamala Harris. Do you remember just a couple of months ago they were talking about how dramatically low her rate is and how nobody could expect her to do anything in her career if she doesn't get her approval rating up? And they had big meetings in Washington. How are we going to get her approval ratings up? He's now less popular than she is. But is that affecting anything, really? Do you hear anybody calling for him to be held accountable for the border? For Afghanistan? For inflation that is going through the roof? For the fact that we can't seem to go places that we've always gone to and do things that we've always done because nobody will work there anymore? Because it's better for so many Americans just to stay at home rather than go back to work? Is this normal? Well, it is the beginning of the new normal. There were 5 things that made America truly remarkable. And they all worked together, especially in the 20th century. We had cheap and abundant energy. You go anywhere else in the world and energy is very expensive. Here we have more natural gas than anybody else. With the new oil reserves that have just recently been discovered and through fracking and everything else, we have more oil here than they did in Saudi Arabia. We have energy like nobody's business. We also have rare earth minerals. These are really important. Computer chips. You know the shortage we have? Computer chips, solar panels, all of those things need rare earth metals and rare earth minerals, and we have them. But because of environmental reasons, we're letting China mine all of theirs. And we're not mining for ours. It's off limits. We're no longer going to be looking for oil. That's a thing of the past. We decided we're not going to have the XL pipeline. We're going after our big oil companies. We just had a new board member or two added to, Exxon's board, where they decided they're going to be a clean energy group, that they're going to be environmentally friendly, which is wonderful and everything, but you're an oil company. The price of gasoline has gone up 72% since January. 72%. It's gone up $1. Energy is being slaughtered by this administration. And believe me, they will not care if gasoline is $8 a gallon. They will not care, because it will force you into a new green car. I've talked about this before. I don't think people understand. Do your homework. The gasoline engine is over. This year is the last year for models to have pure gas engines. It's all going electric. By 2030, that's out. So what are you going to replace it with? We can't build any new nuclear power plants. We can't have any new coal plants. We're really left with solar and wind. Who controls all of that? As I laid out in my program last night, that's China. So you don't have cheap, abundant energy. In fact, you're going to have rolling blackouts. Mark my words. Massive, massive problems with energy. Let me hit a couple of things that you should do on energy right now. If you are building a house or remodeling a house, double up on the insulation. Do everything you can. Get your houses, weather stripped. Do all of that now before there's a rush on all of that stuff and the price goes up. Because believe me when I tell you, you are going to be paying extra if you don't do those things. They're going to make homeownership extraordinarily difficult, and it's all going to be based on going green. So make your house as efficient as you can right now. When it comes to energy, you better have some sort of a generator. Now, you can go out and get a generator, a diesel generator, but diesel, remember, is going to get harder and harder to come by. The only other option that I know of is natural gas. That's going to be harder to come by, but it's cleaner than diesel or gas. And, maybe you already have natural gas, but find a generator. And if you can afford one that will run your house, because you're going to, in the future, have rolling blackouts. When it comes to your business, because the next thing that was on my chart was cheap, abundant energy. That was number one. There are 5. Number 2 is the American workforce. Number 3 was abundant land and farming. Number 4 is a strong dollar. Number 5 is a stable government. That's what made America great. Those 5 things. But we don't have any of those 5 things anymore. Cheap and abundant energy is going away. Look at the American workforce today. You're killing your entrepreneurs. You're calling anybody that is paying taxes now a thief. Remember, 61% of the people that 61% of the American public did not pay any federal income tax in 2020. Or is it 2021? 2020. Mm-hmm. So no federal income tax, 61%. Now, I would say, well, that's because of COVID and everything else. But are they doing things to get people back to work to pay taxes? The answer is no. And what are they doing? The 39% that did pay tax, those are entrepreneurs to the billionaires. Those people, they're under attack. Their businesses are under attack, unless you're a big Home Depot-style business. If you're a local entrepreneur, you have been under attack by this government. To the point to where you can't even find workers now to help you. So the workforce is being slowly destroyed. Here's what you need to do. If you have a business, you need to begin local groups. They did this in California, and that was the only reason why they could push back on some of these COVID rules, is because they got into groups and they invited attorneys to be part of the group, and it was just a local, I don't remember, it was named after one of the streets. We had them on once talking about it, but it was just a local group of people who are all businesses on one street, and they all started to push back, and they got an attorney, and they made headway. They kept their businesses alive. You need to stand together right now. You need to start to gather as a local group right now. The American workforce, you just got to go to work. You have to go to work. The more you depend on the government, the more they will have control over you. Get yourself untangled from the government as much as you can. I told you years ago, spit yourself out of the system. It's pretty difficult to do, but very obvious on where you are in the system. The land and farming and the strong dollar, I'll address in 60 seconds. First, let me tell you about Patriot Mobile all out on chalkboards, and I showed you how they are taking these things and trashing us. The cheap, abundant energy. I showed you all of the bills that have been passed, all of the things that they're doing by executive order, the same thing with the workforce, what they're doing with unions, and how they are just making it onerous to be free and run your own business. The next thing is abundant land and farming. This really goes to the spirit of home ownership and private ownership. We've always had a spirit of, I built this. This is the rest of the you didn't build this kind of crowd. They were telling us in Afghanistan, you can't do this. And we said, yes, we can. They believe that you are the problem and they are the solution. American common sense and all of our documents and all of our history say the exact opposite. The problem is government, not the people. Well, they are working now towards a world where land is going to become more and more scarce, and they're going to cause the scarcity. Did you know that the governor in New Mexico just voted for 50-50? It's a program in New Mexico, and it's being encouraged all across the country and the world, that 50% of the world's land will be set aside for climate change. Some sort of climate control. 50% of all of our land will be taken to stabilize the climate. I didn't vote for that. Did you vote for that? She did it through executive order. It's exactly the same plan that Joe Biden has, but Joe is putting it into a 20-year plan or 25-year plan. His goal is to have 30% by 2030. What they're doing to farmers now through the taxes is cripple them. They are taking away the ability for the farmer who is not wealthy. I don't know if you've ever met a farmer, but they're not wealthy, to pass their land on. They're going to get hit with capital gains tax because they have to now pay when dad dies or mom dies and wants to give the farm. They have to pay the difference from what mom and dad bought that farm for to what it's worth today and claim it as a capital gains. No one's going to be able to pay that. the American farmer will be snuffed out. And that's really okay, because the World Economic Forum, as I showed you last night, has a plan for food. And it is terrifying. It makes Mao's 5-year plan look like a happy place. Starvation will come if these people are allowed to do to farming all over the globe what they're planning on doing. The strong dollar, the stable government, all of these things you can find at blazetv.com/Glenn. Use the promo code Glenn25 and save 25%. Also, my interview for the podcast available right now. It's Ayaan Hirsi Ali. If you know who she is, you know you don't want to miss this. If you don't, oh, please let me introduce you to one of my heroes. This is the Glenn Beck program. So we just had a new show start on The Blaze. It's wildly outperforming for its age. It's been on the air, I think, 9 days, and wildly outperforming anything. I don't think we've had a show start this hot ever, and it's because it's honest. Two millennials that are just honest, and they're not, coming on trying to come off as experts. They're just, in this case, asking questions. Well, apparently you can't do that on YouTube. The channel got 2 red flags. You get a third one, and you're off permanently. Not only did this affect their the website for You Are Here, but also affected their own personal YouTube pages. They couldn't post, and one more violation, and they're gone permanently. Now, YouTube claims today it was just a mistake. It was just a mistake. And so now they're going to be issued just a warning. Now, why were they warned? They were warned because they asked this question.
They are parading the fact that they know what we know about masks and all this pop culture. We don't need to wear those things. They're not helping society, and YouTube can strike me for that, and that's okay. Prove to me the studies showing that masking children is preventing child death. Yeah. Show me the fact that the staff at the Emmys wearing masks and the celebrities not wearing masks prevents anyone from dying. You can't, because that's not science. It's not real. It's illegitimate pseudoscience. And the people pushing this are just showing you they're not only above the law, they're above the public health orders. Yeah. It's disgusting.
That's what got them 2 warnings.
What?
Yeah. Sydney Watson is joining us along with Elijah Schaefer from the new Blaze TV show, You Are Here. Hi, guys.
Hi, thanks for having us.
You bet. So
I'm disappointed in you guys. I would have expected much more.
I know. I thought maybe we would have said a name we shouldn't, or maybe I had something kind of fun. Maybe like
you would have Epsteined out.
I had a nip slip or something, and it was inappropriate for kids. But no, it was a question.
So Elijah, tell me your background, because you went to school. You're not a nobody when it comes to germs and disease and things like masks.
Is that a compliment? I don't know. You're not a nobody when it comes to germs and disease.
Well, that's Jeffy, but that's a different kind of way. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have a PhD in science, but I do have a university degree and some grad school in molecular biology. It's specifically, studying the mechanisms of virology and these delivery systems. I've even worked specifically on immunotherapy development. I by no means call myself an expert, but I definitely think I know more about the topic than people who went to school to study programming that work in Silicon Valley. And being somebody who, for my job for many years, had to wear PPE and had to wear masks, had to take courses and training and know their effectiveness and exactly what they're for, understand that the Health and Human Services and the CDC to this day, if you contact them, never talk about the mitigation of COVID from masks. They use the phrase that they block particles, which is a vague statement that is true because they block sawdust, some bacterial elements, spit, etc. But they never, even on the box of the masks, claim that they are helping mitigate COVID transmission. And when I asked that question specifically, show me the studies, the truth is the Health and Human Services, the HHS, says directly when you reach out to them on their official documentations that there are not these true scientific blind studies that prove the effectiveness of mitigating this spread at a mass scale that is directly saving the lives of kids. And that's all that I pointed out. But apparently some guy named Phil, who works in an office in California, thinks that, he knows more than me, but that's okay.
Phil knows a lot more, Elijah. Did you not know that? Phil's an expert.
So you guys are, you're what? Are you in your 20s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're in your 20s. You were born after 9/11 or right around 9/11, so you don't really remember what America was like before. When we could say and ask anything, I didn't understand the world where you could silence speech. Are you guys as shocked as I am that just asking that question with that everybody knows that asking that question got you almost permanently banned from YouTube?
Yeah, I think that, Elijah and I are 90s babies, so I think that we did, in fact, get the tail end of maybe the best time to be alive when things were much more simplistic and people weren't quite so full of vitriol and hostility, and also when big tech was not running our lives. So I would say that I'm not shocked because I've been working in the space, and I dare say, Elijah, I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I dare say that it's the same thing for Elijah too, that we're not entirely shocked at this point because we have been working in the space for a number of years. And Glenn, I know that you certainly probably are not shocked either. But I think given that we are at a point where you actually cannot even ask legitimate questions pertaining to children, because mind you, I think that the emphasis that we place on children, and certainly the emphasis that we place on their innocence and keeping them safe, has gone completely out the window in days gone by. And there's a myriad of reasons for that. Least of all, I think, referring to the way that the left treats kids and uses them as ammunition, which they often do. The fact that Elijah is smart enough and clever enough to sit here and to say, hey, I would like to better understand this topic. And I get that, sometimes we ask these questions facetiously because we know the answers already. We know that masking children is not something that's going to be tremendously helpful for them because, given the rates and spread of COVID and what have you, I don't want to get into that. But, we are at a point where effectively you can be as honest as you want, which is what we try to do. That's what our show's about. We can ask as many questions as we want, but if you upset the people over at big tech, they can wipe you from the face of the internet in one fell swoop. That's very terrifying to us. Very terrifying.
This is financially hurt the Blaze, financially hurt you guys. It is slowed the growth. You're now on big tech's radar, and I'm sure the algorithms are all going to be, because I've not seen any show like yours take off this fast. I think on your first show, I think you had 5,000 or 50,000 signups, and if I'm not mistaken, by show number 2, you doubled it.
Yeah, I think we were already hitting in the 6 figures of downloads for the show just beginning and getting in the top, I think 61 of all of news, even audio podcasts, and also trending on YouTube.
51 of all audio.
Yeah, 51 of all. Yeah. So we were beating
in 2 shows.
Yeah, we were already beating, like Hannity and different people on audio, simply because I think people are so tired of understanding that they want realness.
Yeah.
And the point is that all I did was ask questions in response to official positions of government agencies. And the fact that that's controversial today says something about the control and the totalitarianism that the American public is facing on a daily basis. And this is why it's not fair. Do you want to know something really stupid that your audience, big tech and stupid go together pretty well at this point. But when they struck us against their own terms of service for the same content twice, which they don't do. And then when we fought them and explained to them, look, what we said is not only against your terms of service, it is not against science, and it is not against the official position of the government. Can't believe I even have to make those arguments to speak freely. But we said that. They go, okay, that's fine. You didn't violate our policies. We'll reinstate one of the videos but we're going to leave the warning and not reinstate the other video. So they admitted that we didn't violate their policies, but they're going to still punish us. And the only conclusion I can come to, because we're not violating their terms, we're not violating government mandates, we're not saying anything incorrect, and they've admitted that it's simply because they don't like our position and they don't like who we are and what we say here at The Blaze. And I believe it is a personal punishment to warn us that you are on the wrong side and that our eyes are watching you.
I can guarantee you that. I don't know if I gave you guys the speech, when you first came in, but I pretty much tell everybody that works around me or comes here, you're going to pay a very high price. You're going to pay a very high price for doing what you do, especially doing it here. And I just interviewed somebody, just last week, and I told her she was very excited to come to work, and I said, I want you to take the weekend and think about it because you have a good chance of not getting a normal job ever again because you'll be blackballed because you worked for me.
Yeah, but it's worth it, though. I mean, I think that's the fact of the matter is it's completely worth it because if you are pushing the envelope and if you are pushing the right ideas and correct and truthful ideas, I think it's worth it. Yeah, it's tough. And I think all of us, especially, if you have some sort of a following on the internet and you speak about conservative values or right-wing values, it certainly can get challenging, but I still think it's worth it. I don't know, Elijah. I don't know if you agree with that, but I certainly do.
I don't think that I couldn't live in lies. I couldn't do it. One last thing. Are you, because we have learned to do certain things when we have to ask questions that we know we're going to get hammered for, we don't put them on because the Blaze will put any honest question on. I don't care what the answer is. I don't care whose side wins because of it. If it's an honest question and we're searching for honest answers, that's what you're supposed to do. Are you guys going to change the show at all and do the
real?
No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. What we're going to do, and I'll tell you this for your listeners, this is very important, is we at Blaze, I know that the people that are the big higher ups, the honchos, the guys up there looked at us, and I can tell your audience this genuinely. Nobody came to us and told us, change what you're doing. Don't say this. Don't say that. They just said, we're with you. We back you. And even to show our support more, while we were offline and we were not able to produce the show, they were still like, we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep this live on blazetv.com. And they decided to offer an amazing deal. I think the code is Glenn25 for $25 off to get a membership at blazetv.com. And if you use that, that is like the best deal I've heard in a long time.
It's the best deal we've ever offered.
Yeah, see, and we're going to come together. And we're going to say we're going to fight back against big tech and make the content even more accessible. And we're going to give people that opportunity to join the battle and join together because it is a cost not just for the people in the content, not for the people making the content, but you know this just by watching the wrong things, like with the Hunter Biden story, sharing the wrong story is enough. No matter if you have 2 followers or 2 million followers, they will target you and they will ban you and punish you. And so we cannot trust big tech platforms. They will censor us into submission until we join together and get behind each other, like at blazetv.com. And that Glenn25 offer is amazing. A lot of people have joined. They've come and they've supported us, and we are showing big tech that they will not silence us.
Amen, brother. Thank you. It's great to have you two working side by side with us. So I really love it. I love it. You guys are really great. Again, it's blazetv.com/Glenn. Use the promo code Glenn25. This is the place where free speech lives on. Sponsor this half hour is Goldline. Do you remember when we had Ayan Hirsi Ali on the very first time? Do you remember that?
It was back at CNN?
CNN.
Jeez. Headline news, by the way.
Yeah, she was, as she still is, an incredibly brave woman.
Oh, yeah.
She escaped from, where was it? Somalia? Nigeria? She was in a Muslim family, and they were going to ship her off to her husband, and she was young. And she gets into the airport where she has to get a connecting flight. she's somewhere, I think, in the Netherlands, and she takes off all of her Islamic garb and changes her name and just kind of blends into society. She educates herself, and then she becomes a member of parliament. And she becomes very outspoken right after 9/11, probably 2004. And I met her when she had just left or was still in Parliament. And I would never forget, I've had Secret Service around me. We've met with presidents and all kinds of people. She's the only one that had security that stood literally right next to the camera lens. Her life was so threatened all the time. And all she was doing was telling the truth. And she's continuing to tell the truth now today. We talked about Afghanistan and what was happening in our own country. You know, she lived maybe, I don't remember, Denmark. And then she came here to the United States. And she chose to live here in the United States. And she has such a great viewpoint on who we are and what we're about to forget. You want to see Ion Hersey Alley. It's the podcast. It's available now on Blaze TV. You can download it and watch it. It is a